Hello, everybody. It is the American Doofus Show. Thank you for watching. Don't be a doofus. I'm your host, Barry Welsh. Please subscribe, like, and share. We begin with the Grandmaster J arraignment the day after tomorrow, Friday the 18th. An arraignment is where formal charges are levied against a defendant. The defendant will make a plea, either not guilty, guilty, or no contest. And no contest is very similar to guilt. It's admitting there is evidence, but not saying that you have done anything wrong. Also, during the arraignment hearing, the future of the defendant is determined, whether they shall be detained, whether they shall be released, whether there are conditions upon the release. And an example, someone being held awaiting trial after an arraignment is you have to look at the people tied to Trump with the sex thing, Jeffrey Epstein and Giselle Munchin, I think was her name, or something close to that. She's still being held, and they're trying to arrange a $281 million bail to get her out of being held until her trial. So there could be some consequences for Grandmaster Jay at the hearing the day after tomorrow. Of course, the biggest depends upon whether he's detained or released, and whether the charges are formalized or whether they're dropped. There are those that have contacted me that have said, there's nothing to these charges. There's nothing to worry about, that Grandmaster Jay is going to be released on Friday and everything will be back to normal with the NFAC. And that is a distinct possibility. However, we report the truth on here and in alternative news. And the truth is, Grandmaster Jay has honked off, if you will, some powerful people, including a congressman from Louisiana and an attorney general from Kentucky. And these people, I imagine, are the ones behind pushing for these charges and for the arrest that happened well over a week ago. So what I see, this is just an observation. I see Grandmaster Jay's supporters being much more reactive, if you will, instead of proactive. I think they're waiting to see if he, like you have to raise money once he's in jail, in other words. And I think that's what they're waiting for. And I think that could be a mistake on their part. That's just an observation. It's not a recommendation or a suggestion or anything. I'm just saying that there should have been a lot of legal work already going on ahead of the arraignment. And I don't know if that's proceeded. I don't know if the funds have been raised. And if they have, and if everything goes as planned, then all will be well with Grandmaster Jay's supporters on Friday. So it's if I were one of his, if I were in the NFAC, it'd be one of those situations where you hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Now, on this program, Delta DEFCON basically has said that if Jay is going to be going away, then he's going to be Delta DEFCON's going to be in charge of the NFAC if Jay goes away. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and we'll be covering all of that. Of course, it's part of the NFAC story. It's part of the Grandmaster Jay story. It's part of history and it's alternative news, and that's what we do. Turn now to the Proud Boys. Touched briefly on the Proud Boys being in Washington, D.C. on Saturday night. Going to go a little bit more in depth at the moment. And before I do, I want to make sure I mention Galaxy Boog, one of the gentlemen that's been on the program before, a Boogaloo boy. He has contacted me and assured me that the Boogaloos and the Proud Boys are far, far, far from the same thing, not even close to the same thing, that Proud Boys have actually beaten and severely injured Boogaloo Boys because of Boogaloo Boy association with Black Lives Matter. So these are two, despite being predominantly white organizations, these are two very, very different organizations and different philosophies. So I just wanted to make sure that was pointed out and clear. Now, talking about the Proud Boys, after talking about Grandmaster Jay, you can't help but point back to the fact that there are two distinct systems of justice in this country. One based upon pigment of skin and coin in pocket. One based upon pigment of skin and one based upon coin in pocket. So if you are a poor white person that can't afford legal funds, chances are your situation is not going to be a whole lot better than a person of color that is in the legal system. But yet, white privilege doesn't allow many to think that way. I want to read something from Pastor Ianther M. Mills. He's the pastor of one of two historically Black churches in Washington, D.C., that their property, both of the churches' properties were attacked Saturday night by Proud Boys. And the pastor says, "We are a resilient people who have trusted in God through slavery, the Underground Railroad, Jim Crow, and the Civil Rights Movement. And now, as we face an apparent rise in white supremacy." This is something we're going to try to counter, a rise in white supremacy. It's something that is not talked about, but it's evident. It's something we have to deal with. It's something we have to confront and try to dismantle. And that's one of the reasons we're doing EAR, an organization we're putting together called EAR, End All Racism. I've got one board member, I've got one candidate. I would honestly really like to have a few incredibly powerful women on the board, and haven't had any applicants as of yet. So we've got some t-shirts designed. It's progressing. Again, we're going to try to get through the inauguration January 20th, and then focus more on EAR as well as the other alternative newses we're doing. Final thing, the Proud Boys attacked the properties of the Metropolitan AME Church and an African American United Methodist Church in Washington, D.C. Saturday night. There were arrests. There were arrests made. There were stabbings. There were beatings. There were, again, the attacks upon the faith-based organizations. And it just hasn't drawn the attention it should, because it was white people doing it. And that's the truth. If this had been a large group of of Black people behaving the way that we saw, and that I showed just little clips of what happened Saturday in Washington, D.C. And this isn't, this wasn't isolated to Washington, D.C. I was looking for one more quote from the pastor, but I can't seem to find it at the moment. So just know that the resilience of the communities of faith in the Washington, D.C. area is there. And they don't plan on going anywhere. They've been there for 186 years. And according to the, I'm paraphrasing here, but according to pastors, they plan on being there another 200 years. And the two churches are now going to be working together to get through the vandalism and the strife that their congregations have been facing. And I'm going to end with this. Donald Trump lost the election. Donald Trump will not be president of the United States. To many of you, that could be breaking news, but Trump's the loser. Neighbors don't want him in Mar-a-Lago. That's the latest to this story. Believe it or not, the president has done something that violated a legal agreement he entered into. That's not breaking news. That happens quite often. It's just been ignored and shoved under the rug. And when he's no longer president, the ignoring and the shield will come down. Neighbors have filed suit to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't move back into Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago is a club. It is not a residence. And when he purchased the property, or when the bank purchased the property and he put his name on it, he violated the rules, and nobody did anything about it. Well, now they're going to. So I think this is just another example of how the Trump supporters are going to start peeling away. Now, those that are there to the very bitter end, make sure you know who they are, because those people are delusional and potentially dangerous. And I did an episode about the Scarlet Letter, the new Scarlet Letter, marking the diehard, most loyal of loyal Trump people with that letter T, so that we know who they are and we know what they're capable of, and we make sure that they are nowhere near power. And that's what it is, it's power. And so many people in the United States gave power to a reality TV show host. And look where it has put our country. I hope we all learn from that. Again, it's the American Doofus Show, just giving you something to think about. We'll be back very soon with more. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. And by all means, blessings upon that, all of you, as we enter into a holiday season with coronavirus, with questions about vaccines, with so much turmoil in a nation that should be leading the world instead of the butt of the world's jokes. Again, just something to think about. I'm your host, Barry Walsh. This is called the American Doofus Show. Love y'all. Don't be a doofus.